everybody. Welcome to Ladies Power Lunch. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a reminder that our Ladies Power Lunch coffee break is now the Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life show. And we have moved. So we've moved a lot of things. We've moved from being a web show to being a TV show. And we are on this new network, Win Win Women, which is very, very synergistic with the ideals of Ladies Power Lunch. And we've also switched up our branding a little bit. So our new name for our show is Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life. And there's a whole story behind that that I talked about on the very first episode of this new show. We're also on a new day. We're on a Tuesday instead of on a Friday. And instead of being at 11:30, we're at 11 Eastern. That works out to about 8 o'clock Central Pacific time. And so lots of new things that are going on with us here at Ladies Power Lunch. And we're so grateful. Also grateful for everybody who's tuned in to join us here live in the studio today. We're looking forward to having some really robust conversation. So what are we talking about today? Today, we're going to be talking a little bit more about collaboration. We're going to be talking a little bit more about what it really truly means to be able to go from being alone in your business. A lot of us who are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners, we tend to be a little bit siloed in our business. We're slugging away at it, and we might be the do-it-alls, the doer of all things. If you're in a brick and mortar, you might be the one changing the toner in your printer. You might be the one who has to go vacuum up a mess that happened in your business somewhere. You are also the same one serving your customers and your clients. So you can get a little bit caught up in the aloneness of it sometimes. And so what I want to talk to you about today is the thing that I talk about all the time. If you guys have met me before, you know I'm pretty one note. I talk about collaboration. I talk about harnessing the power of the collective, getting us all together in the way that we fit the best, and serving certainly our customers and our clients and each other, but also serving that greater good, that greater purpose for which I truly believe we are all here. So last week, we talked a little bit about the energy vampires and how we need to be really, really careful as we get involved with collaborations, because some of the things that we've thought in the past, we've thought they're collaborations and they've burned us in a way. I'm here to tell you those weren't actually collaborations. Last week, I outlined exactly all the different types of relationships that we form that might seem at first blush to be collaborations, but they really don't serve us. They don't serve our clients. They don't even serve the other people, and they definitely don't serve the greater good. So they don't reach that threshold for what we term a true collaboration, the sort of connection that is going to be enriching for living your optimal life and growing your business in a really smart and heartfelt, meaningful way. So we talked about the energy vampires and the fact that they're not necessarily the sort of people that we need to be connecting with. And we talked about, in very, very brief passing, the 5 steps that you need to have in order to ensure that what you're doing, what you're focusing on, is a true collaboration. So we defined a collaboration and we said it has to be win, 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 win. You have to win, your collaboration partner has to win, your client has to win, and also the greater good has to win. But okay, so we know that, but what do we have to do in order to ensure that the connections that we're making, we're getting out there, we're networking, we're meeting people, we're partnering with them? What do we have to do to ensure that these connections that we're making are actually collaborations? Well, there are 5 steps, and I'm just going to lay them out on you here. I'll go into detail as we go along with today's show, but I just want to lay them out for you so you understand what it is that you're looking for when you're considering partnering with somebody, getting into a collaboration with another partner. The first thing that you have to really think about is you have to ask. And like I mentioned before, I'm not sending you out there at any point in time to go ask somebody for a collaboration. That's not where you start. It actually all starts here. It all starts within. It all starts with you. And so I invite you to spend some time in quiet contemplation. If meditation is something that you are into, if taking walks and being in nature is what works for you, whatever is the way that you get in touch with inner self, inner you, get in touch with your inner knowing, whatever is your method for that, I invite you to go ahead and do that. Tune in and allow infinite intelligence, allow wisdom to flow and to let you know what are your values? What are the things that are going to be non-negotiable for you as you step into a collaboration? What do you even want from a collaboration? What would make a collaboration, in your opinion, a successful collaboration for you? Is there a type of partner that you're looking for? Is there a type of business venture that you're looking to connect with? What is it that you want? Because let me tell you, if you don't know what you want, any road can take you there. And at the end of the day, when you get there, you're going to realize, hey, that's not exactly what I was looking for at all. Not great, always. My favorite step in all of this is ask, go within, go deep, let your guidance guide you, because that's what it's there for. It's called guidance for a reason, right? Let your guidance guide you. Let your guidance take you to understanding what it is that you want. And if you spend enough time in this first step, it might include some journaling. It might include revisiting this idea more than just one time. If you spend enough time focused on this step one, all the other steps flow so much more smoothly. So step two requires alignment. And that's basically what step two is. It's asking you to make sure that every piece of this collaboration, every part of it, every aspect of it is actually in alignment. Sometimes we make decisions in ways that are not correct for us. If you have made decisions in the past, and the fact that you're watching this show right now is telling me that you made a decision, right? You decided, hey, I'm going to watch this show. If you've made decisions in the past, then you know the way that you make decisions the best. Some of us, we have that gut feeling. We know somehow at our core what is right for us and what's not right for us. There's some of us who make decisions a very different way, like snap in the moment. And if it's right, it feels great. But if it's not, you feel that little spidey sense tingling. For all of you Spider-Man fans out there, you know what I'm talking about. You feel that little spidey sense tingling in the back of your mind, like, that's not right. And it might just speak to you this one time, but you've learned over the years how to listen to it and how to pay attention to it. And you've probably noticed that at the times when you don't listen to it, those are the times when it doesn't go as well as you might like. There's some of us who, in order to arrive at our conclusions for the decisions that we're making, we need to talk it out. And not necessarily talk it out to get feedback from other people, but talk it out in order to hear ourselves speak and hear how excited we are when we speak about it, or hear how not so excited we are when we speak about it. And when we can feel that certainty, then we know it's time to act. And then there are those of us who we have to sleep on it. We have to give it some time for us to arrive at our decision. And when somebody's trying to get you to make a decision in the moment, you know that that's not right for you. You know that that's not your thing, and you know that that's the time to walk away from that. And then there's some of us who we need a lot of time to make our decisions. We need to weigh the pros and the cons and all of that. But we know in our bodies when something is right for us, no matter what your decision making style is. We know when something's in alignment and we know when it's not. And we've been taught over the years to use our brains to make our decisions. And brains are great. I love brains. I have one that's really great and fully functional. But brains aren't necessarily the best way to make decisions. And so you always want to definitely focus in on what is in alignment with your personal decision making style, and make sure that as you go into something with somebody else, that your alignment is correct for your decision making. Alignment also takes into consideration communication. A lot of the times when we think about collaboration, and I ask people, like, what's the first thing that you think of when you think of a collaboration going well? What's one thing that has to be in place? A lot of people, the first thing that comes to mind is communication. And you're not wrong. And communication has to be in alignment as well, because have you ever had a conversation with somebody and you left the conversation realizing that you were talking about two different things, apples and oranges, and you couldn't reach a point of alignment because you weren't even on the same page? It's really, really important for us to get on the same page with each other and have these conversations in alignment. The other thing that I mentioned on our last show is that you need to make sure about everybody who's a part of the collaboration being all in. Now, you definitely want to make sure the other person's all in, but you also want to make sure that you are all in as well. And I have been in a situation where I thought I was all in, but I had so much other stuff going on that I couldn't be all in, and I had to back away from collaborations for that reason. Make sure that you're putting your all into it. If you're going to be in a collaboration, give it everything. I talk about the fourth piece of a great collaboration, and that's the assignments. How great is it when you're doing the thing that you love, the thing that is amazing to you, the thing that you could do it in your sleep if somebody woke you up in the middle of the night? How great is it when that is what you are focused on? And how absolutely terrible is it when you're doing something that you're probably okay at, but you really, really don't like it? You're really not in alignment with it. What I recommend for great collaborations is making sure at the very beginning to determine what the skill sets that are available are. What are you good at? What's the other person good at? What do you like doing? What does the other person like doing? And then when you come together, make sure that everybody's working at their best assignment. And then the last piece is apps and resources. Guys, you don't want, even if you're in a collaboration, you don't want to have the people in the collaboration doing everything and burning themselves out. You want to make sure that you're taking advantage of whatever applications are out there that can support your collaborations. Are there resources out there that you can take advantage of? Are there other players that you can pull into the collaboration who might be able to contribute an important piece of what you need? So I could teach about this a whole lot, but I feel like stories really, really bring home this point about why we need to focus in on these 5 pieces: the asking, the alignment, making sure you're all in, making sure everybody has the correct assignment, and then taking advantage of applications and resources. I'm going to tell you a story about a dear friend of ours. She's also a member of our free women's group, Ladies Power Lounge, which is a place where women can go to just support each other, because that's what women do really well. And what we know is when women support each other, everybody wins. It's like that whole story about the rising tide lifting all boats. I'm telling you a story about one of our dear members, and she shared this with us actually on our Ladies Power Lounge podcast some time ago. So she's a photographer and she's really good. Her name is Teresa Nat, and she's at Teresa Nat Studios. She has an amazing aesthetic. Her visual sense is just beautiful. So she got into this collaboration with a hairdresser. And what their plan was is that the hairdresser would make two sets of hairstyles. Funky hairstyles that Teresa would take pictures of and use for her portfolio. And then she'd make regular hairstyles that this hairdresser would use for the hairdresser's portfolio. Sounds great, right? Sounds like a really good collaboration. We're taking advantage of the artistry of the hairdresser, and we're taking advantage of the artistry of the photographer. Everybody seems to win in all of that. But here's what happened. This is what happened, right? Did we ask? Were we in alignment? Were we all in? Everybody seemed to be assigned to doing the right thing. And were we taking advantage of the apps and the resources? Here's what happened. Teresa went and she took photos of the beautiful hairstyles, that regular type hairstyles that the hairdresser made for her portfolio. She provided those to the hairdresser. But what never happened and what they never outlined at the beginning, so we're missing out on that alignment piece, right? Because the communication wasn't there. What never happened is they never ever got to the stage where the hairdresser made the funky hairstyles so that Teresa could take the pictures of that. And Teresa kept trying to reach out and nothing happened. So what does that mean? That means that there was a mismatch in the alignment. Also meant that the hairdresser was too busy. She didn't have time to do the funky hairstyles for Teresa. So her being all in, that actually wasn't there. And then there could have been conversation where they had taken advantage of applications and scheduled things out so that everything was in writing and available ahead of the collaboration, but none of that happened. And so it ended up being kind of a win-lose proposition. This is what we talked about on the last episode. We called it parasitism. It was a complete win-lose proposition because one person got what she thought she needed and the other person got nothing. But it really is a lose-lose because this could have been a collaboration that could have gone on to yield so many great benefits for both of them and for their clients. But it stopped in its tracks because we didn't honor all 5 pieces of what it takes to make a great collaboration. That's just one example. Let me share with you another example of another dear friend of ours. We have so many amazing women over here in the Ladies Power Lunch group. And this member of ours is Wendy Peratt. She has been doing collaborations for over 25 years. And she came to us and she shared with us about, what works and what doesn't. And she said that the alignment for her, see, for me, the asking is the number one, because I feel like when we ask, everything flows downhill like an avalanche. But for Wendy focused in on that alignment piece, because what she says is that when you get together with somebody else, you need to make sure that your values are aligned. If your values are aligned, you're kind of halfway there. If your communication is aligned, you're kind of halfway there. She told us a story about getting into a collaboration with somebody with whom she still has a collaboration all these many years later. And why is it still a collaboration for them? Because they honored all these 5 pieces at the beginning and they made sure that their values were aligned. Their communication styles are wildly different. And this is one of the things that really showed up for them. Wendy, she is an outside of the box thinker, whereas her collaboration partner is a little bit more structured in her approach. And so when they got together to try to collaborate, they had to figure out how to actually talk to each other so that the other person would hear what they were saying. And that's so important. That's that alignment piece. But because they took the time in the very beginning to make sure that they had all those 5 pieces in place, the asking, the alignment, making sure that both of them are all in, that each of them was doing the thing that they were better at, and that they were not overloading each other, but taking advantage of other applications that were out there to support their collaboration. Here they are so many years later, still together, still supported, still offering amazing services to their clients. I want to share a story that was shared with me by another member of our group. And she just happens to be one of my favorite mentors. You might have heard me talk on other episodes about my mentor, Darla. She shared so many stories about collaboration because collaboration is something that she has done over many, many years. And she shared about a tour that she had. It was a collaborative tour where she was supposed to visit, I want to say about 30 different cities. And in each city, she was to collaborate with, okay, maybe it wasn't 30, it's probably fewer than that. But in each city, she was to collaborate with a woman and they were to put on an event together. Well, it was interesting to note that in each case, the results were very, very different. In the cases where there was alignment, where the collaboration partners were all in and everybody was assigned to do specifically what they had to do, and there was outside support for them, they had upwards of 30 people showing up for their event. And these are, smaller events, but that's a really, really good turnout for an event when you're doing something like a retreat. In the cases where there wasn't really any true good aligned communication, when the other partner wasn't really all in, when the assignments weren't given out and weren't elucidated correctly, and when the support from outside wasn't there, then they may have had maybe 5 people show up at their retreat. You see the big difference with what happens when we're having a collaboration that hits all those 5 pillars as opposed to one that does not. So there is just so much value in making sure ahead of time at the very beginning that we are supporting our collaborations to make sure that we are getting the results that we want. And we've talked about why we want to have collaborations. We want to have collaborations because we want to work together. We don't want to be siloed out in our businesses all by ourselves. When we've all heard of the mastermind that Napoleon Hill talks about, talking about when more than one mind comes together, how we're able to have results that are even greater than we would have gotten if we had 1 + 1. It's sort of that new math, 1 + 1 is greater than 2. I like to call it the goddess mind, because when we get all these women coming together and putting their minds together, we have more fun. And if it's fun, I'm there. We have a greater opportunity to come up with amazing ideas. We have so much more resources that are available to us when we pool our resources together. And of course, it's just a so much more robust experience for our clients who are coming to us. They get so much more when we're all working together. So as always, I invite you to, if you think that working together and collaboration and women supporting each other is something that feels right for you, feels like it is your birthright, it feels like it's what is at your very core, then I invite you to come on over and join us in our Ladies Power Lunch group. The Ladies Power Lunch group is just a free group for women. It's a place where women who feel like it's mostly women in business, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, women who own small businesses, or women who are in corporate life that seem to find their way there. But we do have quite a few women who assume that mentorship role, and they are perhaps retired or heading towards that retirement space. And so you have a nice mix of different types of businesses, different types of women, people coming from all walks of life, bringing their expertise and their brilliance to supporting each other in this way that, in my opinion, we all know how to do as women. We all really do want to support each other. We want to let go of those old ideas of clawing each other down and pulling each other down, and instead embracing the idea of lifting each other up. One of my mentors likes to talk about lifting as we climb and rising tide lifting all boats and that sort of thing. That's what we're all about in Ladies Power Lunch Group. So if you'd like to be a part of that, we certainly do invite you. It's really easy to find us. Just go to growsmarternotharder.com/Facebook and you can meet us over there. And we're over there every day having great conversations. And we do have a lot of activity for encouraging that collaboration, which is so natural to us and which we can get back to and grow our business in a more organic way, which is really what I think we're all meant to do. As always, I pulled a card for us today. I love to pull these little cards. I think of them as thoughts for the day, thoughts for the week, ways that we can ground ourselves and really dive into being more positive about the way that we're doing business so that we can grow our businesses in a smarter way and live our optimal lives in our business. So our card that I pulled today, it says, life is supposed to be good for me. Life is supposed to be good for me. I love this card. I opened the deck and it just popped right out. I didn't even have the opportunity to pick a card. The card chose me today. And I want to share the message with you. It's such a lovely message. It says, life is supposed to be good for me. That is our strongest message to you. Life is supposed to be good for you. Do your best to find the best of the positive aspects that surround you. Look for things to appreciate. Even if there aren't that many, look for things to feel good about. Give your attention as best you can to the best things that are going on in your experience. With a determination to train yourself into the best feeling vibration that you can find right here and right now. I think that's a great card for us to lead into this week as we live our best life in our businesses, as we dive into this idea of getting into collaborations that are ideal for us, getting into collaborations that are optimal for us, as we try to make sure that we're asking the questions of ourselves. What is it that we actually want? We're making sure that the alignment is there. We're making sure we're all in and our partners are all in. We're making sure that everybody's doing the thing that they're best at. Their assignments are correct. And we're making sure that we're taking advantage of all the applications that are available to support us. We want to remember that we're enough. And life is supposed to be good. We're supposed to have a good life. We're supposed to live our optimal lives, and we can. And I truly believe that one of the easiest ways to do that is through that collaboration. So next week on the show, we're going to have a very special guest. As I mentioned before on previous episodes, back in the day when we had our previous format for this show, it is actually an interview format where we bring on a special guest, usually a member of our Ladies Power Lunch group. So if you're interested in being on the show, then the first step is always go join the group, growsmarternotharder.com/Facebook, and then we can start talking about getting you and sharing your expertise on the show. But we have a great guest coming up next week. Her name is Lisa Reed, and her topic is Get Speaking Gigs Now. She's a best-selling author. She's a world-class speaker, and she's going to talk to us about how to use collaboration tools to actually grow your practice through speaking. So I'm really looking forward to having her on the show next week. I'm looking forward to all of you joining us and getting in on that conversation about what's important for you for collaborations, what's important for you for growing your business. Everybody, thank you so much for joining today. Love you all so much. Really appreciate you. And I'll see you